Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Open eCry market commentary for the week of June 17th. My name is Toby Gennaro from Trade with Precision, and we'll be talking to the charts to see what's in store for the markets this week. Let's take a look here at the ES futures, looking at the S&P 500, the big cap stocks, and taking a look from the charts from the top down here, looking at the monthly chart. Really doesn't tell us a whole lot. We've got just a slight rejection candle there on the monthly chart, but we still have consecutive higher highs, higher lows for just consecutive months here, and then we're kind of right in the middle of this month of June right here, so don't really have a whole lot there. It's looking a little indecisive right now, but as we move over to the weekly chart, we can see that we had this nice pullback right back into the buy zone. We're getting two nice setup candles in the last 2 weeks, and we just broke the high of that candle. It doesn't look like it here. Let me see. We had the end of futures expiration, or at least the futures rollover on the continuous contracts last week, Thursday. So the high here is 1645.75, and then broke the high at 1648.50. So we've already broken the high of that first bearish candle, got basically another bullish candle here, so we've got two, and then we're starting the third week here. And basically came back and did a retest of that 1594 level. On some platforms, it'll go back when the continuous contract changes to the new contract quarter. A lot of times it'll readjust all the pricing. And so some of you might have some different pricing. If it does readjust, then you'll see that it actually put in for last week a higher low, and we also have a higher high. And so what we'd be looking for here this week is really looking for a break of the high of this candle right here at that 1648.50 level. And so that's going to be the consistent number for pretty much any platform that you folks might be using out there. But looks like, we're looking pretty bullish on this. Nice pullback, couple of setup candles here in the buy zone on the weekly chart. Looks pretty strong, pretty bullish to the upside. And it looks like we might get another run at this 1685 level. As we go down to the daily chart, we can see that we got, basically a nice retest of that 1594 level, which was a nice support level. As you recall, we've been talking about that for a while, and now we're getting a move right back up. We just need to break the some of those candles right there, but we're going to break the weekly candles actually a little bit after. These ones right here are basically 1634, but as soon as we get above that 1634 level, you're probably going to see some buyers stepping into the market to push this market higher, and then this pretty much would be the weekly level right there at that high. So things looking pretty bullish here for the big cap stocks. Looking at the 480-minute chart, doesn't really tell us anything too new. We've got a reversal pattern setting up here at that 1594 level. Has some slight divergence here on the indicators. Tells us that potentially we're going to get a bounce off that level, which we did, and it's just a matter of whether we break this high right here and continue to move and get successive higher highs and higher lows. As we move down the chart, see if there's any trade setups here. As you move down to some of the lower time frames, you can see on the 15-minute chart things are starting to trend upwards. Nice bullish candle right there, basically a little flat level as well. Broke that flat level, and now we're taking off to the upside, moving right into that level of resistance. Don't think that this congestion here is going to be too much of a problem. I think we're going to be moving back up to the highs and following the weekly chart and the daily chart in terms of getting this trend back online to the upside. So things looking pretty bullish here for the ES futures, and things look pretty good for the week ahead, unless we get some kind of news out that's going to tell us something different, and there might be a fundamental move. But for right now, the technicals look pretty strong, and we're looking for a move to the upside. And then we're just looking for some of these trend flow or these flat level breaks on some of these smaller time frames where we can control our risk pretty well and make sure that if we're wrong on the trade, we have some protection on the downside, and then we're using the price action to place our stops. So in some of these instances on a weekly chart, taking the break of the weekly candle with our stop below the low, that's a pretty broad swipe there in terms of a risk level. That's a lot of risk. So you really want to go down to some of the smaller time frames and then look for where the trends are setting up. And you'll start to see potentially the 60-minute trend start to trend up, and then you'll start to see the pullbacks occur. And then you want to start to get involved in the pullbacks once we start to break some of these levels here up around 1648 is going to be the key level. So once that happens, you'll start to see start to see some of those trends setting up pretty nicely on the lower time frames, and that's probably going to be one of the most safest opportunities for us to get involved in the trend moving back up in the direction of all these higher time frames. So that's how we protect ourselves when we do that. If you guys aren't used to trading that way, we do teach the advanced course where we show you the trend flow strategy and the momentum breakout strategy. Take a look at those courses. We offer those every couple of months, and we'll show you the actual strategies, how they work, and how we can protect ourselves and identify our risk when we're looking to trade with a trend. And then moving over to the small cap stocks on the Russell 2000, looking at the Russell futures contract on the monthly chart. Not really anything new here, just a series of bullish candles here, higher highs, higher lows, and we're still in the middle of the month of June. Won't know more until we get the close out of that candle, see what this looks like. But as we move over to the weekly chart, very similar thing here, a couple of bullish, or at least a bullish and an indecisive candle setting up on the weekly chart right around that buy zone in amongst the 10-20 period moving average. Very bullish sign there. Thought we might get a pullback into this 951 area, which is a great level of support. You can see multiple touches there for multiple weeks, which would have been a great opportunity. Probably a lot of buy orders accumulating there if the market could have gotten down that far. But what we're looking for at this point is a couple of bullish candles, looking for the break of the high of both of those candles. So the highest one at 996.10. And then that one's 992.50. So I'd really be looking for a break of the 996.10. If we can get that this week, more than likely we'll be pushing up to potentially a new high. As we look at the daily chart, we can see that again, that retest that we saw with the ES futures contracts as well. Got something similar here. If we get a break of the high right here at that 992 level, there's probably a pretty good shot that we're going to move even higher above that 996 level. But really the setup here is on the weekly chart. So what we might want to do as we start to move back up into that level around 990, you'll start to see on some of the lower time frames, everything starting to trend up, just like on the ES futures. You'll start to see maybe the 240, the 120. You'll start to see all these moving average patterns start to get into alignment, like on the 60 and the 15. 15's already in alignment and moving higher at this point. So there are going to be some pullbacks. Markets more than likely is not going to shoot straight up, but we'll see what happens here in the coming week based on what news is coming out. But as far as the technicals look very strong, and as long as we can break some of those key levels on the weekly chart, looks like we're going to be back towards some upward momentum. So things looking pretty bullish, even on the small cap stocks as well. And just taking a look at a foreign currency pairing here, looking at the dollar Swiss. Dollar's been showing some signs of weakness here, and looks like we may get a bounce on the dollar, but for the most part, it's in a pretty solid downtrend. And as we move over to, you'll start to pick up some of these trends on the daily chart, which has been pretty much a straight move down. It looks like it wants to bounce back up into the moving averages, but we still have another bearish candle right there. And looking at the 480 chart, we got a nice bearish candle right there in the sell zone as well, and then it's also backed up by another bearish candle here on the 240 chart right there in the sell zone. So it looks like if we can get a break of the low of the slow right here around 91.93, it looks like that'll be the level. Let me see right here. The low there is 91.94. So if we can get a break of that level, and then on the daily, 91.94 is the same. If we can get a break of that 91.94 level, at least it'll bring us down probably to the next low, which is 91.29, if not putting in then a new low. And then that would complete the trend here on the 480 as well as the 240-minute charts. So a couple of charts there in alignment. As you can see, we've been in a range here on the weekly chart. From top to bottom down here at around that 90 level, and so it would make sense if we're on a downtrend here, we can possibly get down to that level where we can begin to start doing some covering. But just looking for basically a trend flow trade setup to the short side, just following this trend. And as we go down to some of the lower time frames, we can see that trend looks pretty solid up through around the 240-minute chart, and we still have lower highs and lower lows. And we'll be looking for that setup then on the 240 and the 480 if we can get a break of that level. And then that'll give us an easy opportunity there too basically cover half of our position at that next low, get the trade to break even, and then see if there's room for some more downside at that point. But we'll just have to see on what the week has ahead. But there's a setup there for the dollar Swiss. So there's the market outlook for the week. I'd like to thank you all for watching the Open Cry market commentary for the week of June 17th, and we look forward to speaking to you next week on the market update.